Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bold analysis. I'm shooting this video sometime, I think this is around 2:30 a.m. and I was supposed to go and sleep. But during my routine, just checking up what's normally happening in Parliament, that's normally the last thing I do in the night, just to follow up the Parliament proceedings, especially when the Parliament is not on recess. I bumped on a clip that has really shocked me. I don't know whether you followed Parliament. Ichun'gwa is telling us something that I want you to hear. I don't want to echo what he's saying because I have the clip with me.
Have taken over.
I'm even wondering, what exactly is that? Do we say, sometimes I normally read comment section and some good Kenyans normally say that God is exposing them. I don't want to use it in this context, but I'm like, do we say God is exposing them? This William Ruto's first budget is full of casualties. And from what he's saying, this is the majority leader in the National Assembly. And it's supposed to be the move of the government business in the floor of house. He's supposed to be the person to push this budget. Let's just, if it is indeed factual that we are funding private universities, students in private universities than those in the public, because according to the Presidential Working Party on education, we were supposed to stop funding the private universities. That is one thing we agree. And again, we are also in agreement that private universities are struggling with pending bills. And public universities now, most probably the students in public universities, that's where you'll find most needy scenario. I'm a product of public university. Those who normally go to private, the truth is the kind of fees paid in private is huge, and if you don't have financial muscles, you might not take that risk. No hustler will take. Sisi ambao tulikuwa tunalipiwa hiyo kidogo, we couldn't afford the private. And Ichun'gwa is saying and is asking Azimio la Umoja that Parliament, can you help us solve this problem? Cartels have taken over the government. If Kenyans went to elections to choose leaders, and the leaders they chose are now telling you that cartels are taking over, then why am I not thinking that the most honorable thing is to leave so that the cartels so that we can just know that cartels are running the government, because we entrusted with the responsibility to you're exercising donated power. And then the leader of majority is asking the floor of the house, and he seems to be talking to Azimio la Umoja that this house is what is supposed to help if this bill. That video has been trending, by the way, and you'll find it in the corridors. Ichun'gwa is the one talking there. Well, there's some things that you can't even imagine. Now, in my research, immediately listened to that video, and Ichun'gwa has mentioned Mount Kenya, and that has reminded me of analysis I did here. Remember during the burial of Paul Gishero, that William Ruto's lawyer who passed on in Nairobi, the person who read Ruto's eulogy in his burial is the Mount Kenya VC. I have that analysis. I just get you an extract. I want you to get an extract of that video here. It's me. But that was back, which year? I need to get it. That was in the month of 8 months ago. That was somewhere September. This time, the Mount Kenya VC could be having close ties with William Ruto, because he's the person that read William Ruto's eulogy at Paul Gishero's burial back then in Nakuru. And that was in September. That was some time after even William Ruto was already sworn in and was already a president. I need to get you that, a bit of that, my analysis, kidogo. But I can tell you can search. It's called Drama. The title of that video is Drama as Ruto's representative at Paul Gusheru burial forgets with eulogy in the car, raising eyebrows down. Get a snippet of that analysis I did here. So, there is this Mount Kenya University founder, Simon Gisharu, who, I don't know whether that is the new chief of staff or what is it, or just a business person. He is the person that read William Ruto's message or condolence message to the family. Yes. So the mourners, and it really raised a lot of questions in this country. Why is it that the eulogy did not come from President William Ruto, and they had to send someone to speak to the family, despite the fact that they could just send someone from State House? So that was a bit of it. That is what was that is something that was discussed there then. Now, what Kimani Ichun'gwa is talking about cannot be taken lightly, ladies and gentlemen. I may be wrong on this, but it can't be taken lightly. There is clearly one thing I'm saying, and I want to say it straight. Kimani Ichun'gwa is falling out with Nyoro in terms of this budget. And he's saying that cartels are running government and they've come to the parliament. The head of the budget committee is in the National Assembly is Nyoro. Okay? Is Nyoro. So the other one is the head of finance. But the budget appropriation in the National Assembly is Nyoro. So if someone is to state captures to make its way in the parliament, the route is Nyoro's office. And clearly, this is something that is pointing out. Now, let me tell you, there have been a bit of the rift that has been experienced. Nyoro is very close to President William Ruto. And Nyoro is not very close to Rigathi Gachagua. But Rigathi Gachagua is a very close associate of Kimani Ichun'gwa. Of course, you will understand the dynamics of that fallout is at one point, I think Nyoro has been having the Murang'a factor. And since the moment an MP said that after Rigathi it should be him, they seems to have created a bit of that rift. And you realize that most functions that are attended by Rigathi Gachagua, Nyoro is not a frequent. Will not be frequent. You will not frequently see him in those events that are attended by Rigathi Gachagua, especially if it is a Rigathi Gachagua event. Even go and review the Meru, the recently concluded the coffee conference in Meru. I think one day Kimani Ichun'gwa attended, but Nyoro did not attend even a single session out of the two. That's one thing you realize. You'll be told he was busy with the issues of the budget, but that's also another scapegoat. You will realize that Nyoro will most likely attend events that both William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua are attending, which means maybe he's under the invitation of President William Ruto, but he's not very close with Rigathi Gachagua. So when Kimani Ichun'gwa is making this, he's trying to throw direct jab, because the next powerful office to him is that of Nyoro. And he's saying that he's taken to ministries, from the ministries and even to the executive. As a member and a senior ranking member of UDA party and a ranking member of government, you will not take it lightly if he's the person making that statement that cartels have taken over. People like us are not shocked. And people who follow the Bold podcast are not shocked. We've been saying some of these things for quite some time. That, of course, the whole discussion that William Ruto had in this country about state capture was not something that was realistic, and the truth is that state capture will always fight back. So when you see a very senior member like Nani saying that there is state capture is fighting back and is in the country and is taking over government, it's true. I can tell you, that even the current discussion going on about pending bills, there are some suppliers and contractors that have been paid, especially when some specific people or some powerful people in government are going to benefit from that payment. And the tragedy we always have in this country, in this our good country, is when leaders get to power, the first question before anything is done to Mwananchi is, what is in it for me as a leader? It has never been what is in it for us as Kenyans first. So that's the root cause of all our problems. And that is why what Kimani Ichun'gwa is talking about is something that, according to me, cannot be taken wrongly. Number two, this is a case of a deal gone wrong. Let me say, do you want to convince me that the majority leader is learning of that for the first time? No. No. He's saying it is deep. You know, he's given an example of the Ministry of Education. But when he's saying about it, he's not specific about one. He's saying it has taken over Parliament, Executive, and the government ministries. That's it. So clearly, I don't think that Kimani Ichun'gwa would have protested and even made that leak if he was part and parcel of the foregoing. So it's a case of realizing that something is going on, but I'm not part of it. Because what he's saying is making a lot of sense. You know, private universities, it's their own management. They can provide a list that we're having X, maybe around 2,000 number of public sponsored students, job students. But indeed, they're not having that number. Maybe that number is exaggerated. And money is sent to those accounts that is going to those students, but there are no people. And from the way Kimani Ichun'gwa is talking about it, he must be speaking from a point of knowledge. It can't be confused as and you know, the way he has picked Mount Kenya University is picking an issue with one university, but it could be it's cutting across. So clearly he has known, you know, as he is speaking that house, he has known who is the founder of Mount Kenya University, how is the link with the respective bodies or whatever the respective government offices, and he's speaking from something he's so sure about. Even though in the house there is a privilege of what you say there cannot be used against you in any court of law. But that's the truth, that he must be speaking from a point of knowledge. Now, this revelation shows me one thing. Ruto either has lost control and the system is collapsing while he is seeing, or himself, he is an accessory to these crimes. I may want to ask you, do you think that Ruto is unaware of what Kimani Ichun'gwa is talking about? Or he's aware of it, but decided that he's maybe doing something for the benefit of others? You know, I've always said that there is something I think in future we might have. I know we are still premature. It's still premature debate we can have, but we must have a very concrete and a very serious discussion about financing our elections. The more we are leaving election financing to scrupulous bodies and any other person can come, I wish we can be in a situation where we can fund campaigns fully, especially for the presidential. If we can lay structures that, and a presidential candidate, we even put that a presidential candidate should not even give people money, so that a situation where you don't have a presidential bid and anyone else with money brings money to you, so that even if you get power, you cannot deliver to the people because you find that you're in some sort of a yoke. Clearly, the truth be told, the cartels that Kimani Ichun'gwa are talking about are not people that dropped from heaven. These are powerful forces, and these are people that might have worked with President William Ruto and funded his presidential bid. And now, through what Kimani Ichun'gwa is seeing as cartel, That's their mode of payback. And they're getting in the pretense, in the bid of their payback, yule mtu ambaye anaumia is mwananchi who cannot now get the services needed because there is bit of some payback going on. So that's a candid discussion we can have. The system is collapsing, and either William Ruto is seeing or clearly he's out of control. But I don't think he's out of control, because if you look at the person in Treasury, that was his direct pick. He was the former, I think the former governor of Central Bank, Professor Njuguna Ndung'u. This is a man who William Ruto himself picked. And William Ruto is a man who has been touted as hands-on. On matters budget, his first budget, there is no way such a sneaky budget can be in that bill while he is unaware. And I want to finish this podcast by saying this, if we elected leaders to represent us, but they're coming out to portray themselves as defeated fellows, what exactly is going on? It is a very clear signal that something I've always been saying. The Uda house was built on glass, and it's crumbling one pole pole, pole pole. This cartel thing is deep. And if that is just education, then how many other allocations are we making, but they're just going to people's pockets? This is just a red flag. It's just a cross-section. This budget, are we being overtaxed? But that money could clearly be going to people's pockets. Because from what is coming from Kimani Ichun'gwa, it is something that cannot be assumed. That's my take.